Good morning, children. So we are back with our portions now. So we have already started our third chapter, isn't it? Which was the third chapter? Do you remember? It's force and pressure. What is force? Force means a push or a pull, isn't it? That can be considered as force. Then we have discussed one more term related to force. Which was that? Thrust, isn't it? So force acting normal to a surface can be called as thrust. Then thrust acting per unit area can be called as pressure. We have also discussed about the factors on which pressure depends. So which are the factors? Pressure depends on thrust and area. By adjusting the area, that is by increasing or decreasing the area, we can decrease or increase pressure, and we have learned about the different applications for in our day-to-day life, in which in few cases we have increased the pressure and in few cases we have decreased the pressure. I think we stopped with that. Now next we will be moving to fluid pressure. Okay, so what are fluids? Liquids and gases can be called as fluids. Why? Because molecules in liquids as well as gases are free to move, isn't it? So liquids and gases can be collectively called as fluids since the molecules are free to move. So today we will be discussing about liquid pressure, and in the next class we will be discussing about the pressure exerted by gases. Okay, so today we will discuss about liquid pressure. Fluids means liquids as well as gases. So in the case of solids, actually solids exerts pressure on the surface in which they are kept. So pressure is exerted by a solid on the surface in which it is kept. But when you are considering liquids, it is not like that. Liquids exerts pressure in all the directions. Okay, so that is the first thing what you have to keep in mind. Unlike solids, liquids exerts pressure in all the directions. So here I have a beaker and I am taking some liquid or water in the beaker. So here the molecules of water exert pressure in all the directions. Pressure will be exerted in the upward direction, downward direction as well as sideways. So since the molecules in a liquid is free to move, these molecules will move and it collides on the walls of the container. Okay, the molecules in a liquid are free to move, and when it moves, what happens? It collides with the walls of the container. So when it collides, force or thrust acting per unit area is pressure. That means pressure is there. Okay, so liquids exerts pressure in all the directions, and the pressure exerted sideways can be called as lateral pressure. Okay, lateral pressure. So what is lateral pressure? Pressure exerted sideways. And how is this pressure produced? Because the molecules in a liquid are always free to move. When it moves, it collides on the walls of the container, and as a result, lateral pressure is produced. Okay, so is it clear? Liquids exerts pressure in all the directions. The pressure exerted sideways can be called as lateral pressure. This is formed due to the collision of the molecules of the liquid on the walls of the container. Okay. Now, next one is about the factors affecting liquid pressure. We will check on which all factors does liquid pressure depends. So for that, two activities are given in your textbook. So I'll just tell you what it is. Okay. First one is liquid pressure depends on the height of the liquid column. Okay, pressure depends on the height of the liquid column. So for that we are taking a glass tube. Okay, a glass tube is taken and both the ends of the glass tube are open. Okay, so it is a glass tube, both ends are kept open. Now here we are fixing a deflated balloon. Okay, deflated means no air is present inside that. So mouth of that balloon can be fixed on the mouth one end of this glass tube. It is actually a deflated balloon. Now through the other end you can pour water. Okay, so when you pour water, what you can see, what happens to the size of the balloon? It starts getting inflated or it gets bulged, isn't it? So you can see that the balloon gets bulged. Okay, now increase the level of the water. That means you can pour more water. So when you are pouring more water, what happens to the size of this balloon? It gets bulged again, isn't it? So if this is the height of the liquid column. If the height of the liquid column increases, pressure increases. Okay, so that is what we can infer from this. Pressure increases with increase in the increase in the height of the liquid column. If you are pouring only some water on this, only the bulge in the balloon will be less. Okay, if more water is poured into the glass tube, then the height of the water column increases. At that time, what happens? More bulge can be seen on the balloon. That means pressure exerted will be more. Okay, so pressure depends on the height of the liquid column. Now, next one, again we are taking the glass tube. Okay, now I am taking two identical glass tubes. Okay, two identical glass tubes, and on one end I am fixing a balloon. Okay, so two identical glass tubes with two balloons. Both the balloons were deflated in the beginning. Okay, deflated, that means no air is present. It will be like this. Two deflated balloons are there. Now, in the first tube, I am going to pour water. Okay, water is poured, and in the second one, I am pouring glycerin or mercury. Okay, glycerin or mercury in the second glass tube. In the first tube, it is water. So after these two, that is water as well as glycerin, the height of both these things are same. Okay, that is equal amount of glycerin as well as water are taken. Okay, now here the bulge here it is water, here let it be glycerin. Now the bulge here is this. Okay, so in which one the balloon gets bulged more? In the case of glycerin or mercury. Can you tell me what is the reason? That is, pressure depends on density. Okay, that is the second thing what you have to keep in mind. Liquid pressure depends on density. Density of glycerin or mercury is more than that of water. So what happens? The pressure exerted by glycerin or mercury is more and the balloon gets bulged more. Okay, so we have discussed two different activities. From the first activity, it was clear that pressure depends on the height of the liquid column. When the height of the liquid column, more liquid is there, more bulge is there. That means pressure increases with height of the liquid column, or if pressure is directly proportional to the height. In the second case, two identical glass tubes with two balloons, identical balloons, and we are taking equal amount of water and glycerin and we are pouring into it, but the bulge will be more in the case of glycerin. The reason is glycerin is having more density. Okay, so when density increases, pressure increases. That is, pressure is directly proportional to the density. Density can be represented by the letter D or this. Okay, somewhat an italic P. That is also the symbol used to represent density, and it is read as rho. Okay, it's read as rho. Clear? Rho stands for density. You can use the letter D, small letter D, or rho. It's a modified form of P. Rho or D stands for density. So from these two activities, it is clear that liquid pressure depends on height of the liquid column, density of the liquid. And one more thing is there, liquid pressure also depends on G. What is G? Small letter G. Small letter G stands for acceleration due to gravity. Okay, small letter G stands for acceleration due to gravity. So liquid pressure depends on three factors. Which are they? It depends on height of the liquid column, density of the liquid, as well as acceleration due to gravity. So keeping these three factors, we can give an equation for calculating liquid pressure. In the case of solids, pressure was given by the equation thrust by area, isn't it? But in the case of liquids, liquid pressure is given by the equation H rho G or HdG. It's important. Okay, pressure is equal to H rho G or HdG. Instead of rho, you can use the letter D. Okay, so is it clear? Liquid pressure depends on three factors: height of the liquid column, density of the liquid, as well as acceleration due to gravity. So that is how we got the equation P is equal to H rho G. Okay. Now we will check how we can measure liquid pressure. Okay. Liquid pressure can be measured using an instrument called manometer. Okay, manometer is used in order to measure liquid pressure. So we have the construction as well as working of a manometer. We will check how it works. Okay, so this manometer actually consists of a U-shaped tube, okay, which is mounted on a wooden plank or a wooden board. Okay, this is mounted on a wooden board. Now on this wooden board, two graduated scales will be there on both the sides. Okay, graduated scales will be there on both sides. Once again, in the case manometer is used in order to measure liquid pressure. It consists of a U-shaped tube which is fixed or mounted on a wooden board. Then on the wooden board, on either side, this is a U-shaped tube. So on either side, scales, graduated scale will be there with the same measurement. Okay, so both the scales will be showing same measurement. Then next thing is pour some colored water. Okay, pour some colored water into this U-shaped tube. Now when you pour water, you can see that the level of water on both arms will be same. Okay, when you pour water, the level of water remains same on both arms. Now the next thing is you can take a rubber tube and fix this rubber tube on one arm of the U-shaped tube. Okay, so let this be the rubber tube. Then on the end of the rubber tube, you can connect a funnel. Okay, a funnel can be fixed. Then a stretched membrane can be fixed on the mouth of the funnel, and this entire thing will be placed on a beaker containing water. Okay, so I'll repeat. One end of this U-shaped tube is connected to a rubber tube. Then on the other end of the rubber tube, a funnel will be connected and the mouth of the funnel will be open, isn't it? So there it will be a stretched membrane will be tied over that, and this will be immersed on a beaker containing water. Okay, and we are going to measure the pressure exerted by this water. So first I told you, you have taken colored water in the U-shaped tube. The level of water remains same at first. Now, if you exert some pressure, actually since it is kept in a beaker containing water, pressure will be there. Okay, that I will tell you. So, if you exert some pressure on this stretched membrane, what happens is the level of water present on this nearby arm will decrease and the level of water on the other arm will increase. Okay, if you exert a pressure on the stretched membrane, the level of water near the arm, which is closer to this, okay, so the level of water in the nearby arm decreases and the level of water in the other arm increases. Now we have two graduated scales on either sides. From that, just find the difference in the level of water. Okay, so let the difference in the level of water be H. Here we have taken water, we know the density of water, we know the value of acceleration due to gravity. Once you know H, B and G, you can calculate pressure using the equation H, B, G. Okay, here when you are increasing the depth, that is if you are moving this tube with the funnel and the stretched membrane again downward, then you can see that this level again falls. That means when depth increases, okay, when depth increases, pressure increases. So the level of water here will fall again and here the level of water will increase. Okay, so once again, manometer is the instrument which is used in order to measure liquid pressure. So we are having a U-shaped tube and in that we are taking colored water. This U-shaped tube is mounted on a wooden plank or a wooden board. Then we'll be having graduated scales near on the wooden board near the two arms of this U-shaped tube. Then just connect a rubber tube on any one arm of this U-shaped tube. Then on the other end of the rubber tube we have a funnel and the mouth of the funnel is fixed with a stretched membrane. It is immersed on a beaker containing liquid. Now if pressure is exerted on it, when you are keeping this in a beaker containing water, already I told you, liquids exerts pressure in all the directions. So due to the pressure exerted by the liquid, what happens? The level of water present on this arm gets reduced and this arm will get increased. Now note the difference in the height of the water level, colored water level. From that you will get H. Then density of the liquid or the water is known. We know the value of acceleration due to gravity. So HdG will give you the pressure exerted by the liquid. Okay. So is it clear about manometer? So you should know about the structure as well as construction as well as working of manometer. So when you increase the depth, when this stretched membrane is pushed down again, then the level more water gets, the level of water will be decreased again, because when depth increases, pressure increases. Okay, so is it clear now? Next we will move to the characteristics of liquid pressure. Okay, so there are 5 properties shown by liquid pressure. It's very important. Okay, characteristics or properties of liquid pressure. First one is liquid exerts pressure in all the directions. So already we learned that, I told you, isn't it, in the beginning, that is In the case of a solid, the pressure will be exerted only on the surface on which it is kept. But in the case of liquids, it is not like that. Liquids exert pressure in all the directions. Now, second one, liquid pressure increases with the density. So we have considered an example when we have taken water as well as glycerin. The bulge, the balloon under the glass tube with glycerin showed more bulging. That means pressure increases, liquid pressure increases with the density. Okay. So that is the second thing. First one, liquids exerts pressure in all the directions. Second one, pressure, liquid pressure increases with the depth. Okay, sorry, pressure increases with the density. That is what we have proved with water as well as mercury or glycerin. Now the third point is liquid pressure increases with the depth. So an activity is given here to show that we have a vessel, okay, a can or a vessel, and we are making holes on it. Okay, we'll make it somewhat bigger, then only it will be clear. We have taken a container or a can and we'll be making holes. 4 different holes. 4 holes are made at different heights on this container. Now just close these holes with a tape. Okay, we have taken a container, then 4 holes are made on one end or on one side of this container. Now close it with a tape. Okay, after that fill it with water. Now remove that. Okay, after filling it with water, remove the tape. So what happens when you remove the tape? You can see that water rushes out through all the holes. And can you say through which hole will water come out with maximum force or pressure? This will be the way. That is, the water coming out of the first hole will be near, almost closer to the container. Second one somewhat far. Third one far. And the last one means much far from this container. So what can you infer from this? When depth increases, what happens to the pressure? Pressure increases. Okay. So pressure increases with the depth. That is the third point. Liquid pressure increases with the depth. Okay. Now fourth one, we are considering a similar container. In this case, we are making holes on the same height. Okay. So this is a container, water is taken on it, and here the holes are made at the same depth. Then you can see that water rushes out from this with same force or pressure. Okay. That means pressure exerted at a given height will be same. Okay. First we told that pressure increases with the depth. When depth increases, pressure increases, but at a given height, pressure exerted by the liquid will be same. That is, for that I have taken a container, then 3 holes are made on at the same height. Okay. Then it is covered with a tape. Then you are filling it with water. Once you remove the tape, you can see that water rushes out through all these 3 holes with same force or pressure. Okay. So what is the reason? Pressure exerted will be same at a given height. Okay. Now one more thing is there. One more property of liquid pressure, that is liquid seeks its own level. I am considering 3 different types of tubes. Okay. 3 different types of tubes. Let the height be different. Let the size be different. This is lean, this is somewhat thicker, this is of medium size. Okay. Now I am joining the bottom of all these 3 tubes with another rubber tube. Okay, so 3 tubes of different sizes are considered. Its size or as well as shape is different. Now I'm going to pour water through one of these 2 tubes. Okay, one of these tubes, and you can see that this water will flow through this, and when I stop, what you can notice is the level of water will remain same in all the 3 tubes. Okay, the level of water will remain same in all the 3 tubes. That is another important property shown by liquids. That is, liquid always seeks its own level. So when you are keeping the vessels with different size or shape, it won't matter. Here more water will be present on this, isn't it? But the level of water will always remain same if you are keeping these tubes closer and connected. Okay, not closer, connected. So that is the 5th property. So what is that? Liquid always seeks its own level. When you are taking, here you have taken 3 tubes of different size as well as shape. Then the bottom of these 3 tubes are connected. You have poured water in one of the tubes, but you can see that the level of water in all the 3 tubes will remain same. Okay, so these are the characteristics of liquid pressure. Okay, so we have discussed about 5 characteristics. Be thorough with these 5 characteristics. Which are they? Liquids exert pressure in all the directions. Okay, liquids exert pressure in all the directions, upward, downward, sideways. Then liquid pressure increases with the density. Liquid pressure increases with the depth. Then the pressure exerted at the same height will be same. Pressure exerted by a liquid at a given height will be same. And the last one is liquid always seeks its own level. Okay, so I hope it is clear for you. Thank you.